There are three things so far the JDBC is concerned. One is the database management system, which is basically in this learning we have considered MySQL, and then another is the JDBC driver, which is basically will connect to the server, and then third component is basically the Java application. So, JDBC is a middle which will basically connect your program means Java application to server. Now, in this session we will try to learn about the details about the JDBC driver. So, first we should see exactly for this MySQL server the proper JDBC driver needs to be installed. So, we will discuss about how the JDBC driver that will be responsible to connecting our Java application to the MySQL server. So, downloading the JDBC driver, and then once the JDBC driver is installed successfully, after downloading obviously the installation we will see exactly how this can be installed, and then finally the through JDBC driver and then Java program how we can execute some statement SQL statement, and then we will execute the SQL statement from our Java application Java program, and then we will see their results from the console again. That means through the again connecting the MySQL server after executing. This basically gives an idea about that whatever the command that we are intended to execute from the application, whether it successfully executed or not. In our next session that will be held later on, we will see exactly how the results also that can be obtained purely from the application itself. Okay, now, let us start about how the JDBC driver can be installed. The location of the JDBC driver is we have given the link is there. So, https then colon then /dev.mysql.com downloads under then /connector/j/. So, this basically is the link from where you can get the JDBC driver for the MySQL connector. So, MySQL connectors is there, and there is a connector J, you just go to the link and finally, you will be able to set the proper program there. So, it is basically platform independent one version that you have to install it, and so this is the version, this is a zip file of course, and the version is for current SQL 8.013. You just simply start downloading. So, it basically download. Now, so download from the net is a free software. So, there is no issue. So, for the downloading this software is concerned. Once the JDBC driver is download, then you have to extract the zip file, and it can be downloaded in any directory. So, we will just advise you to download into on C drive, right. Okay, so, we just unzip this zip file, and then we once you do the unzip, then you can find so many folders. There is one folder called JDBC MySQL connector.jar file. So, this file you should rename to MySQL for just simplicity. You can give any name, but for convenience you can give this one, and then finally, you should place the jar file MySQL.jar file along with any other program which includes in this using JDBC. That should be done by one command from the command prompt java -cp MySQL.jar, and then what are the all file name. Okay, fine. So, you just simply copy this jar file into this one, right. So, we have copied it, right. So, we have copied this MySQL jar file, and this and then we have to finally set the class path name from the system file itself. So, that this JDBC driver can be identified from any location if you execute it. So, you have to set the class path also there. Anyway, so our JDBC connection, this is okay, this gives you complete completion about the JDBC connection, it is there. Now, you have to log into the MySQL server, because we are exited from this one, password is root here. Now, okay, so the JDBC, this MySQL connection is done, currently it is there. Now, we want to write some Java program by which you can execute some SQL statement, and then after the execution of statement we will be able to see the result. Now, see, there are few steps obviously involved. The first thing is that you have to create few objects The first is that connection object, we give the name as con, we define connection object, and then we define, okay. So, this is basically setting up the connection, and then username is root, we have to write it username is root, password is root, URL is basically you can note it JDBC MySQL, this is basically local host, and this is the number that is there, the port number is 3306, and the JDBC driver should connect to a particular database. So, the last field is basically the name of the database. As you have know, already we have created one database in earlier session, and the same database will be used there, and then we have to load the JDBC driver by using the statement is basically the class dot for name, then com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot driver, and all these things within double quotes dot new instance, this is the method. And so, this basically is to load the JDBC driver into your application actually. Okay. So, this is the right, and then we have to establish the connection, create an instance of the collection object for which the driver manager is the class there. So, driver manager then dot get connection and giving the URL, whatever the URL you have given there, you just give the argument here URL, username, password. Otherwise, you can in this method also you can type within double quote all the argument, this also will work, but for the convenience we store it and then pass it as a method arguments. So, this basically create the connection objects, and then if the connection is successful, from the program we will get, if there is no connection successful, it will give an error. Now, let us see whether error or not there. So, for the error handling we have already enclosed everything under the try catch block. So, this is the customary try catch block that we have enclosed it. Now, okay. So, run this program java minus cp, yes, yeah. Now, so we have already loaded this one here, java minus cp mysql dot jar connect. Now, connection is there. Now, we can compile this program.
Already compiled.
So, program is successfully compiled and executed. After the execution it is there, if we see the database connection established, database connection is now terminated also. Now, if I suppose there is a mistake for either say some name or some say root, password is changed. So, guest GUEST, guest, suppose this is the wrong password, then if we again try to connect it java minus cp mysql dot jar connect, as you see it basically compile it. Yeah, compilation is done, and then running this program, as you see cannot connect to database server, this is because this one. So, exception is caused, access denied for user root localhost using password yes. So, this basically refuse to get the connection. So, root is the password that is required for the correct or successful connection at this moment. So, this way you can see how the connection can be made with the JDBC to the MySQL server through the JDBC there. Now, we will discuss about how the simple statement can be executed. Here the simple statement that we are going to execute is create table Java course, because there is no table at the moment. So, as there is no table, we will not be able to accomplish any insert, delete, update command. So, first we have to create the table. Now, this is the one program as we see, and this program is basically tell how we can create a table. Now, here you see this is the connection object is created, and then the statement object is created of the class statement. Result set, it basically it will return result set. In this case we will not consider although, but it can give the results, and here is basically username root, and then password also root we have stored, and then URL is JDBC here, JDBC MySQL localhost, this is basically URL for the our MySQL server in this case. Then we establish the connection using this command class dot for name com mysql dot cg dot jdbc dot driver, then dot new instance. This is basically the syntax for which the connection can be made. Once the connection is there, is successful, then we have to create the connection object through the driver manager get connection, giving the argument URL, username and password, which is basically assigned here. And then, so this basically completes the connection, and here is basically we are creating a statement object. So, statement for con dot create statement object is created, and then this statement object is initialized with one statement, the create table Java course roll integer primary key name varchar 30 marks integer not null grade varchar 2. So, is basically this is the way, the usual way that a table can be created with 4 fields, namely roll, number, name, marks and grade like. And so, now, so this basically completes the firing the execution, and then if there is any error or whatever it is there, it will obviously catch by the try catch block. So, this basically is the program which basically create a connection objects, connect to the server through JDBC driver, and finally execute a statement to create a new table. And the command is that java -cp mysql.jar and then create table. This is the name of the class that we have created here. So, this is basically the program, and then in the server we are coming to the console to the server, and here show table use test, show table. So, we see the new table Java course has been created under the test database. So, this is the first step of creating the table here. Now, let us to execute some other statement from this table. First is that we have to insert few records into the table. So, we will see exactly the table that we have just now created from our Java application, how the same can be used to insert some data. We will create many records, as many we wish. Here we will consider 4 records to be inserted with one SQL statement. Now, this is the program, as you see, this is the program. You see here, first of all, these are the so this is the con is the connection object, the stmt is the statement object, and then here is the basically username and password and URL. These are the 3 parameters that required to install the driver manager. So, we use this object, and then finally through driver manager we connect it. So, the con object is now ready, that means its connection is established, and then we just create a statement object, and then statement is basically created with execution for request with 4 insert records one by one. Here you see the first insert, then semicolon, then second statement dot execute second insert, and another statement dot execute the third insert, and then the fourth insert for this fourth execute statement. So, this way we have issued the 4 a statement, and then we call the execute method for the statement object to create to execute. These are the 4 statements. This basically the request will pass through JDBC to the server, and server will execute it, and then finally we will see whether server has done the things correctly according to the request that is there in the application. So, here again we are running the program. This is the name of the class is insert records. So, right in so the command is java -cp mysql.jar, that you have to give it colon, then you have to give the insert record. This is the syntax that you have to follow if you want to communicate it. So, there is no error message, that means it has been executed successfully. Let us come back to the table here again. So, we can see select star from Java course, it is already there. Here also if we write say DSC table Java course, also it will give the same things as usual, because the table has been successfully created with the structure that we have given it there. So, it is successfully created. Now, so table is created, 4 records have been inserted into it. Now, we will see exactly the update command, how this can be executed from the Java application through JDBC driver to MySQL. Again, let us look at the code here. Okay, this code is as usual. This is the connection statement objects, and this is the username, password, and then this is the URL, and we create the class dot for name, passing the username, password, and then URL, and then finally we create the con object, that means connection object, calling the driver manager dot get connection method, with the URL username and password, and then this is the statement object is now ready to fire. Now, here the statement you see we use which command SQL command to include it here, update Java course set name equals to this one, where name equals to this one. So, here is basically, and you see in the first table that we have discussed, there is a one entry, basically the first entry for which the name is Devashish DEBASISH. So, is basically this command is requested to change this entry as a DEBASIS. So, now okay, we are this program is now ready, and then let us compile this program, and then okay. So, this program yes. So, update record, this is the name of the file, yes. Now, the record has been updated, and let us come back to the control command prompt, yeah. So, command prompt again, just see exactly select start from, yeah, we can see the updation is successful. So, this way the command related to update can be fired from the Java application, and then we will see exactly delete command. We will just going to delete one record from the table is Java course here and here. So, it is basically this is the program as we see. So, this is the usual the things it is there in, we have already familiar to this thing in the last examples, and this is also clear, only I just change that we have done here. So, we have just create delete from Java course where marks is less than 66. So, in the record there is some marks, if it is less than 66 like the which 65, it will be deleted. Now, so let us, so this is the only statement that we are going to do it. So, delete record. So, it is there now, yeah, as you see there. Now, here I am just going to change one little bit small change here. So, as you have already seen that, so more than one SQL statement can be executed. So, those actually this is basically statement dot execute method is there. So, I am just changing, we just add one more statement dot execute instead of delete, after keep it delete here, then insert, right, insert, right, say roll number 7 Amit marks, no, not here, next just copy statement dot execute again, right, yeah. So, this is the delete, we are going to execute. So, insert, right, insert into, right, Java course, then 0 name roll number yeah, value, yes, yeah. So, fine. So, Amit so, values, it should be values, insert into Java course values, VALUES, values 12 Amit 85 A, this one, right. Now, we are inserting one more record. Now, okay, I am just okay, right, go to there. So, okay, we have to save this program, we have changed it. Now, it will execute two things, delete as well as insert also. So, yes, now here we can see, right. So, the new entry has been made here as you see. So, as many as SQL statement can be executed from one program, as we have seen, we have tested with 2. So, it is not necessarily limited to 2, more than 2 statement also can be executed from the same program itself. So, depending on your requirement, whatever the SQL statements are there, that will be able to insert it. Now, here is another delete statement, as you know, we can delete the entire what is called the all records from the course also, or so if you want to delete all records. So, what is the command then? Delete all records. Okay, no, the drop table will delete anyway. So, now there is another delete command, delete, if you give the name of the database, right. So, delete from Java course. So, this means that it will delete all the records from the Java course. So, it is the command, it is there, we are changing like okay, delete from now okay, delete from Java course, as this is the statement that we have executed from this one. So, it will basically delete all the records. Yeah. So, now records is empty. So, there is no records. If we again insert, as you see, another record will be inserted or whatever it is there, and if we select star also, it will not return anything, because it does not have any record there. So, finally, we can delete the entire table also, drop table, and then so this is the program here, drop table here in this program. So, a statement can be executed, and then yeah, if we show tables there after the drop table program is executed successfully, yeah. So, drop table is permanently delete the entire table actually, and you see there is no table here. So, there select and show tables also, if you see, so it does not have any tables in this way. Now, so what we have learned here is that how we can establish a connection, and then after the connection is successful, then we will be able to execute the SQL statement from Java application. So, in this demonstration, although we have used the local host, but the URL, as you know, the URL specification that we have discussed during our networking discussion, the complete specification URL using the protocol and then resource name and everything, if we mention properly including port number etc., then it will basically redirect your execution to that particular remote server, whether it is connected okay, through the network or it is the local host. Absolutely, this is the no issue, you can use the same way actually. So, in this case, although remote connection is not possible to establish at the moment, although you could do that, but anyway you have done it, but the procedure is same, only the URL needs to be changed, and you should have the privilege to access your SQL server using your username and password, that also should be ready with you, then only you will be able to establish any connection and thereby execute any SQL statement. So, this is for the today's plan, and in our next session we will discuss about how all the results, those basically after executing a particular SQL statement which will return the SQL server, will be handled by our Java application itself. So, that will be discussed in our next session. Thank you very much.